Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are, as mentioned, looking forward to a really busy session. Our Appy Hour has been put together to really bring together all the different apps around Microsoft 365, talk about their features, the benefits for the local government sector. And we've got my colleagues here to talk through that. So let's go to the next slide. So my name is David Hall. I'm the Managing Director of CloudyIT. CloudyIT is a managed service provider based in the small market town of Buckingham. And we'll talk a bit about what Cloudy does very briefly in a second. But I'm also joined by my colleagues, Steve Walker and Ryan Jones. And Steve, do you want to just introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good morning. Also, I head up the local government services here at Cloudy. And also for my sins, I'm a councillor and a chairman of my local parish council as well. So I sit on both sides of the fence and help with the delivery of our programs into local councils, whether that's remotely or of course face to face with the rest of the team members.
Excellent. Thanks ever so much, Steve. And it's not unknown for you to go along to our councils and join them for their meetings and get involved and play a real hands-on role, which is really important with technology because it doesn't just happen, does it? It requires a bit of gentle nudging and massaging and pushing, but we're very receptive to that and understand that. So brilliant. Thank you, Steve. And Ryan, if you want to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, morning, everyone. So yeah, quite new to the customer success role. I've been with Cloudy for 2 years, but in that time had quite a lot of interaction with our clients, so quite a fitting role. But yeah, my place in Cloudy is to help councils with best practice, the adoption of the apps that are available in 365. And we've seen quite a few unique use cases for them, working with a number of councils, and so sort of gathering up that information and sharing that out with the sector. And then also just being a point of contact for all of our clients at Cloudy as well, and sort of really helping to support you through your journey. So.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Ryan. And Ryan will be talking today about Microsoft Bookings, which is a really good app to manage the booking of calendars externally with the public. So we're talking through briefly how that works. And each month we do cover sort of an app of the month, and today's bookings. Previously we've done Visio, planner, tasks to do, and Steve's going to be talking through some new features of our park inspection as well. So but there's the team anyway. So very briefly about Cloudy, just in case anyone doesn't know, we've got a few customers on the call who clearly know about our service, and obviously some new faces as well. So CloudyIT are a sort of one-stop shop for the local government space. We provide 5 main services to the sector. We do apps for the modern council, and this is obviously what today's session is all about. The apps are included in Microsoft, as well as the apps that Cloudy have created, as well as the apps from our partners as well. And we'll talk through those today. We also do agenda pack solutions, so really exciting space at the moment. Most things Cloudy do are based upon Microsoft 365, which I think is generally accepted as the cloud of choice now for most organisations. And our agenda pack software, Decisions, is built on top of Microsoft 365. And Steve will talk a bit about what Decisions does, but we're seeing some great results in terms of, speeding up the process to build agendas, run those meetings, create the minutes off the back of it, and reduce the number of clicks. All really useful stuff for busy clerks and officers. Also, we do IT support and training, so the bread and butter stuff. We provide the licenses, the support, the business continuity. So that's really our bread and butter, what we've been doing for many years. We do broadcasting as well for council meetings. Ryan actually heads that department up, and we assist councils with the broadcasting of the council meetings. And it's been a busy period doing that actually since April last year, when everyone was expecting. Well, we all went back to meeting in person, and lots of councils wanted to continue that engagement with the community, and we can assist with that. And we've probably helped over 40 councils now as they engage and improve their AV and audio equipment. And then finally, we do web design and accessibility. We work for a partner called Aubergine. Some of you might know Aubergine. They're well known in the sector. They do the SLCC's website. They work closely with NALC. They wrote the guidebook for NALC on web accessibility. We work closely together with Aubergine to provide councils with websites that are accessible and easy to use and easy to update as well. So there's a quick overview of the services we provide. Really keen to obviously get onto the meat of the conversation today, which is the apps, which we'll be talking about now. So I think it's good to set the scene, really. I can't believe it's December. I don't know where the last 12 months have gone, but last year at the Practitioners Conference, which Cloudy were the sponsors of, we actually launched, or sorry, this year in February, we launched our digital leveling up agenda. And we had Microsoft come and talk, a lady called Linda Chandler, who's the local executive regional government lead at Microsoft, talk about smart towns and smart parishes, doing more with less. And obviously a big phrase that's being batted all around at different levels of government about digitally levelling up. And this can apply more so for the local government space, for town and parish councils. You know, so much is being requested and required of the sector now, that we can't just throw bodies at problems. We need to throw new ways of working, new technology. And, you know, here at Cloudy and Microsoft, we are here to assist with that and to find innovative, low cost, really easy to use systems that can allow you to be more efficient, to digitalize your data. And Linda did a really good speak at the conference. If you didn't get a chance, go back and watch it. She's also written a blog on our website as well about hyper-local economies and smart places and smart parishes. So really interesting stuff, and all very relevant. And as we're looking into next year and what the plan is for Cloudy and our focus, obviously this year is about levelling up. Next year, we're going to be delving into really being quite specific and looking at the process of agenda pack creation. That'll be our drive for next year. So this is our plan. We've been hosting many events like this today to try and encourage and distribute all this knowledge and share the best practices. So this is what we're going to continue for next year, and we're going to be running a regular event like this, as well as one called the Decision Hour, which is all about agenda pack creation on Microsoft 365. So apps to drive success. So Steve Walker, he heads up our local government drive around apps, and here at Cloudy we've invested heavily with Microsoft and partners like Rosper, etc., to develop these low code, easy to use, easy to update modern apps built on Microsoft. So all these apps aren't very old, are they, Steve? Not even a couple of years, these ones. And the development cycle is really quick. We're moving really quickly with this. So we're really excited to basically run through some of our apps here today. We've got the apps from Cloudy, which Steve's going to talk about initially first, as well as the apps from Microsoft, which are actually included in your subscription. So there's two types of apps we'll be talking about today. So Steve, I suppose a bit of an overview of apps in general there, and then you'll be delving into our park inspection, some of the new features that we've got. So Steve, I'll leave it to you.
Right, thank you very much, David. So again, good morning all, and I hope the next sort of few slides, and I'll do a little bit of a demonstration so that I can show some of the work that we've been doing recently. So these apps work for any size council. As we're all aware, Microsoft 365 is becoming the de facto cloud that most councils have either moved to or are moving to. It scales really, really nicely, whether you're a small parish or community council, right up to some of the larger town councils. So our apps use this as their foundation. So they scale as you scale for usability. As you can see, cost effective and easy to use. They all share the same layout. They all share the same style navigation. And if you're familiar with one of the apps, the other apps are quite intuitive to use. The suite shares a lot of common functionality, which makes it easier to adopt. So if you've got a team that changes, or you've got other people coming in to do something, it's quite easy for them to pick up how to use the apps. As it says, off the shelf, they're ready to go. You can download the apps from our website, the Microsoft App Store, or we can walk you through installation setup and get you up and running, which is the way we like to do. Myself and Ryan, we like to have a conversation with you, walk you through how we best to set it up, how best to get your team members access to it, and how best to then deploy it to those people that need to use it. So we walk you through that, so that gives you then the confidence that you've got all of the settings right and you've got all the right access to it. Again, 365 is an inherently secure platform. A lot of the data that you'll be collecting in here is kept inside your 365. It's not shared with anybody beyond that, to the point where any access policies you have, any GDPR policies you have, any data retention policies you have, this data will be covered by that. So it's securely with you. It's not held on a third-party system. It's held where you keep your data. And there's a list of there. We've got general inspection, park inspections, allotment and cemetery management, a green spaces app, a youth services app as well. Now, youth services is quite specific to only a small number of councils. We've got a couple of users of that. It was built by a council that had taken youth services on, David, keep me straight on this, from their principal authority. They took youth services on, and they wanted an app to manage the caseworkers and how everything joined up in that very sensitive area of a council's responsibility. So we made them a very secure app that allowed them to do this, and it works really, really well. And down the bottom, I'll mention really quickly, and I think David will as well, the Cloudy Foundation. We engage with a lot of local students in our area or in the areas of councils where we are doing some app development with, and we like to bring them on, and we do some bespoke app work with them, or we may be creating an app for a larger audience, and we engage with members of the community. But David will touch on that later on. I should do my next slide. Sweet.
next slide.
So
Chris with you. Yeah. Of course, Steve. Here we go.
Put David off guard there.
He
He was sort of ready, I could tell.
Yeah.
So park and play equipment and inspections. So it is a bit of a Christmas treat. We've been working really, I say we as a royal, my team have been working really hard. Many of you will know on the screen the standard ROSPA, those that have play parks, and apologies for those that don't. You have your standard ROSPA style report that comes at maybe at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, depending on when yours is. You'll see that sort of the top picture with your matrix and their findings and their notes. What we've done is taken those from obviously my council and varying councils that we've been deploying park inspections with. We've collected their ROSPA reports up to build out a picture of how best to carry out these inspections. We know there's a standard chart that they use. We've all seen this chart, how they work the risk and the score out. This is standard across all the ROSPA reports. It's always down the bottom, and it gives some guidance. So my big blue arrow on the screen shows our new inspection report page. Now, I'll do a quick demo of this after this. I'll talk through this slide and I'll put it up so that you can all see it. So what the team have done is incorporated the standard ROSPA-esque style form into our park inspection app. So when you go and do an inspection, so in my example here, I've got a pat test up for some lighting. We were demonstrating its multi-use. You've now got your description, your task, notes, and finding photos. And the risk level is calculated exactly as theirs are. So we've got the likelihood of it happening and the severity, allowing you then to make a measured approach to carrying out those repairs using a standard scoring matrix, exactly the same as those ROSPA inspectors do at the end of the year. You now have the capability to track your inspections and repairs that way. And we've had it out with a couple of beta sites, and they're really excited to see it in this format. We've improved the navigation, and there's some more work going on. So it's not it. I hope to have it maybe ready by the end of this month, but it's looking more sort of maybe Jan, Feb next year that we will roll that out to existing park inspection app users, and anyone taking the app from us will get this version. So this is one of the things that we really like to stress. The app you get is on a journey. It's constantly evolving. We take feature feedback from everybody that comes straight to me, that goes straight to the team, and then we look at what we can do to improve the app's usability, you know, by councils. So a couple of the other bits we've done on here, SharePoint, we were asked, could I see a report that I could give to the council or print something off? We now have full SharePoint integration. So SharePoint is the fundamental layer where all of your 365 information is kept for a lot of the applications. It's in SharePoint. So this is again part of what you get with 365. So we've leveraged the connectivity of 365 to put these reports and inspections into SharePoint, where you can then use them in Excel. You can do some quite nice reports from SharePoint. You can also set up alerts as well. We were talking to a council yesterday that if a repair went on in the app and its score was, say, let's say it was a risk score of 20, an alert can be set up in SharePoint to, say, alert the clerk or the deputy clerk that there's a high risk incident at one of the play parks. Instantly, all the data is there with the clerk or deputy clerk to action. Again, we see here Planner. Now, my colleague Ryan will talk more about some of the built-in apps, but we've leveraged Planner. We've discussed Planner on a previous Appy Hour. It's it's a really great app. Once you get used to using it, it's really useful. So what we've done here is, as repairs are created, a planner task is made for them for the site, assigned to the inspector. So we've got a couple of examples there. All of the information is captured in Planner. The clerk, the deputy clerk can see this, has sight of the details, can assign it to someone else in the team or to an external contractor. There's lots of ways of working with it so that you can track repair progress. And everybody loves a report with charts and pie charts and so forth. So Power BI, a wonderful interactive reporting environment. We see a lot nowadays when presentations are on telly, they're touching different parts of the report and the data changes as they touch it. Power BI is exactly the same. It allows you to drill down into the information you've got. You might be tracking warranty. You might think we've purchased a lot of these or swing seats, but we're seeing a lot of repairs on those in a shorter period than what we would expect. Is there a fundamental reason why we keep fixing these? You can produce this data from Power BI and then use that to go back to manufacturers or suppliers and beat them up on these swing seats that keep failing, you know, in such a short period of time. So that's where they are in what we've got with park inspection. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you a couple of bits on that now. So I shall just get myself ready. Bear with me, everybody. So I'm hoping we can all see, if everyone can see that. I've just had a nod. So this is our existing park inspection app, and this would be the standard inspection screen. So from the home screen, we would go into inspections, we would choose a new inspection, we would choose our location, and it would line up all of our items in here. So fast forwarding a couple of months to the new version of park inspections, and I want to say that, you know, these changes have come, you know, really quickly, and there are a couple of our pre-existing customers that have them. So we've made a couple of changes to how it looks internally. So again, on here, if we go to a play park, we're now capturing more risk information on here and any notes. We're now able to do some filtering on the report so that we can clear some information off the screen, giving access to more data. And as I was saying, our new inspection, we're off to go to the Wesley to do an inspection. I've now got a very simple navigation where I can go backwards and forwards through each of the items, which works whether you're on a tablet, if you're on a mobile phone. We do a mobile version that is having a refresh to work this way as well. But again, if you've got a tablet, this works exactly the same. You can enter your description, any tasks, some notes, pictures. Shortly, there's one shown here, but you can add up to 4 pictures from findings. The risk level, as we mentioned earlier on, you know, it's quite severe, but the likelihood is low. We get our score, but if the likelihood rises, as we can see, the score rises there up into high. We can have it set in settings that once you get to a medium, it will automatically request that a repair is put in for the item. And as that risk or likelihood climbs up, it will generate a repair in the system for you. Again, there's some updates coming to the repair screen to work to go along with this. So the extra information we now capture for inspections will be captured on the repair. So these screens will change very slightly. One of the things I will say, and this came about from a meeting recently with a council, for those that have a previous version of the Play and Park Inspection app, there is a new page for managing sites and items and checklists. You are now able to rename something. So if fire extinguishers is spelled particularly bad, you can rename them in here. gate lock, height barrier. So you can now go and edit that and put maybe warning sign on there, and that is done and saved in here. We can come back and make some adjustments to that. Again, it's all done straight away. The other thing that we've done, which again is quite important, we have what should we say? We have our children's roundabout. If we're checking that item, what we've got is a standard checklist of what we could be doing. But your maintenance team may have some requirements for some specific items. Zip wires are a favourite, with the dismantling of the seat suspension frame to inspect the cables in there. So you can now add in custom checklists. So on that roundabout, I'd say less than 2 millimeter movement. So there's our check. I want to go and do that. There's a specific check now for that item that we've added in. So there may be some EN level checking that you need to do, your grounds team needs to do. You can add all of this into, and if I come out of this screen and go to carry out a new inspection, and we'll go to Orford Road, I think we had that item in, if I remember rightly. I'm hoping I've got the right place now. I might have to go back. There we go. There's our new check. So we've got on here a bearing check. Is there less than 2 millimeters movement on it? And we can carry out that specific check from that particular item on here. So again, really, really useful. Instead of breaking it down into separate entities, so we've got a base, the flag, the mast, the rope, we can now have just the flagpole and then add to it all those particular checks. So it cuts down on some of the management. So these are the improvements that have come in there. I mentioned earlier on some SharePoint. So here are our current inspections that are in SharePoint. As we can see, the status is shown, the severity is shown, if there's any attachments, and some information. So we can keep looking and seeing the history of items where they've been tracked. So this suspension trainer, the times it's been faulted, the times it's been reported, and so forth. So all of that information is captured and can be used. You can set those alerts up. We mentioned if there is a major item reported, or one that will have a risk score above, say, 15, you can have that send you an alert. You get an email saying a high priority repair may be required. Integration with Planner. Now, as I said earlier, my colleague Ryan will go over this. So here in my demonstration app, all of the sites have been captured here into the planner, and I can see that there's a repair detail here has been put into of medium priority for the team. It's a major level fault. I can add in attachments. I can add in my comments. I can add in a lot of data into here. I can say that it's in progress, and look, we want to get this done before our Christmas shutdown, which is Wednesday. So again, we can now begin to capture some more information, set some tasks, assign it to people. So my colleague Thomas here, he's working on this, but I might want to add and assign that to someone as well. So Ryan on my team, look, Ryan, I need you to go and have sight of this trampoline. And it's that easy using 365. We can do some list views of this. We can do some charts so we can get an idea of what's going on with the data. Again, it's all very simple to use. It gives you some really, really good feedback really quickly. Moving on then to this Power BI report that I mentioned earlier on, and like I say, this is really, really useful. This captures all of that repair information, and I can break down to see what items are under medium, what the severity list is for there. I can move to major items. The no dogs allowed sign is clearly a problem at our demonstration parks. I can see which ones are in progress. So I can fill, and it's all interactive straight away. Every time I click an element on this, I can go and look at it. So if I focus on our SLCC play park, I can see what repairs I've got there, and I can break that down into completed, and I can drop back into there. I can change this report around, and it captures all of the major areas of information. If I drop to that roundabout, I can see these are the two sites that have two medium severity repairs in progress. So they're all the integrations that we've done within, and I shall stop sharing my screen now, giving Dave a chance to put the slides back up. There's where we've been linking it to 365 programs that you have. They're built into what you're currently using, what you're currently subscribing to Microsoft for, and that's where we are. So that's where Park and Play equipment's gone. So if we whiz on quickly, David, if you can do your magic with the slides. So recapping, we've got some previous apps. We have a green space management app that has a public-facing element, allowing members of the public or council staff to have this on a mobile phone if they're out and they notice some street furniture that's been damaged, maybe some vandalism, maybe some graffiti. They can quickly report it straight into an app, which then allows you to assign it maybe internally as a job, or if a principal authority is responsible for it, it can be forwarded on to them. Really, really simple and easy app to use. Asset Manager, again, very, very lightweight Asset Manager. This allows you to track assets in your inventory. Again, it could be just internal assets that you've got in storage, or maybe some you've got a building and you want to track its fire extinguishers, or maybe it's seats, computer equipment. This allows you to do that. We've got some standard data that we capture: purchase value, current value, insurance value, the tag, the invoice, a lot of information. It's say a lot of people might have this in a spreadsheet that, you may not have a fully, a full-size program that you use for inventory or asset management. This is a very, very lightweight one. You can control the categories and the locations. And again, with all our reports, we've got a couple of custom ones. We did this for a council that wanted an inventory report for their AGAR, just that they could break it down by category to show what they'd got. So the app's really, really good. Ties in with our other apps. So if you have some assets in there that belong to the Park and Play equipment category, the Park Inspection app can see those. So it's not double entry. So if you've got someone who's managing your assets, they put all this new park equipment in, the people carrying out the inspections or the repairs in the Play Park app can see those new items. They will appear available to them. Allotment management. For those that have allotments, we have, again, a fantastic program for managing them. It allows you to carry out inspections, monitor requests from tenants, manage your tenants, keep track of first and second letters, rent collections, and so forth. It works hand in hand if you have a current package that you're using for your allotment finance, but you're not using that to carry out the inspections. Again, you can use this just to do the inspections. I spoke to a council recently. The lady had got a manual checklist and took pictures on her phone and then came back and copied them all about with leads and USB sticks. That she now has this app, and she finds it a lot easier just to go out and carry out the inspections from the mobile app, pre and post tenant maybe, or an annual inspection. It makes it much, much easier than trying to join up all these separate pieces of both physical and digital data from other devices. It's all in one place. And again, all of our apps talk to other 365 programs so that you can take this out and use it elsewhere. Cemetery management. This has come around. This was a lot of work has been done on this recently. Many of us have cemeteries. This has been done with a couple of town councils have been involved. We've got another town council who will soon be an early preview testing site for it. Again, a simplified way of managing cemeteries. Instead of it being in separate lists and separate documents, it's all in one place. You're able to carry out inspections. It understands memorial requests, internments, and grants. And again, it's becoming that the app is growing as the app evolves. We receive more feedback from those test sites. They say it'd be great if we add the great if part into it. So again, it's an in progress app at the moment, and it will be part of the suite very, very shortly for everybody to take advantage of. And again, as we've got here on some of the bullet points, you can import and export the data into other systems so that you may have some pre-existing data in Excel or something similar that can be pulled in, or the data from this can be pulled out. So again, connectivity is important. Again, with all our apps, you can use the information elsewhere.
Great, Stephen. I might just add as
Lovely.
well that that app was created as part of one of our community apps with Stamford Town Council, involving youngsters as well. So one of the things we do, and we'll talk about a bit later about how we can involve youngsters to improve digital skills and access as well. So yeah, quite a fun one to build with the students. So yeah, we've come on to the next part of the demonstration. So Steve, thanks ever so much for running through that. I think you know, clearly, you know, you really know what you talk about there, but also you're very passionate about it as well. You know, you're passionate to see that all these different services that councils provide work and, you know, are improved through digitalization. So I don't know, Steve, if you want to share your maybe a link to your booking in the chat.
Yeah,
And if anyone wants to have a chat with Steve one-to-one, you can actually just book a slot in, and you'll be using an app called Microsoft Bookings, which is similar to what you used to actually join this session. And Ryan will be talking about Microsoft Bookings a bit later on, actually. So yeah, so we're actually doing a bit of a prize draw later as well. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but we've got a couple of prizes to give away for everyone who's come to join us. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your valuable days. So we've got a prize draw, a bit of fun a bit later on as well. So I'm not too sure how many of you are on Microsoft 365, but we tend to find the councils are at various stages of their 365 journey. Some, you know, aren't on it at all, so there's a lot of work to do. Clearly, some are on it but aren't aware of all the features they've got and aren't really using it to its full potential. You know, they might just be using it for their emails, but they're still using their files off their server, and they're definitely not using the apps that are included in their subscription. And we've got an example of some of those apps here. We've got Microsoft Bookings, which is a way to basically manage appointments and schedule appointments. And you know, Steve will put his link in the chat, and Ryan, I don't know if you want to do the same as well. You can see Microsoft Bookings in action, which is quite nice. Microsoft Forms is a way to collect data. So, you know, SurveyMonkey, a lot of councils use that to run surveys into the community. You can use Microsoft Forms to do the same thing. And, you know, there's no additional cost for that. There's some great integration pieces as well, where it can take the data, visualize it, put it to Excel or put it into a list, and present it really nicely. So so Microsoft Forms is a great app. I'm just going to skim through them, and we're going to talk through some of them in a bit more detail. Thanks, Ryan, for that. So Delve is a fantastic app for basically trying to find data quickly. You can see what people are working on. You can open it up. Sounds a bit Big Brother. I'm sure there's a couple of clerks who'd love to know if the council has opened up an agenda pack. Delve, you could actually do that. In fact, you can find out when something's opened. You can only see it, I might add, if you've got permission to see it, so it can't be done the other way around. A list is a great way just to store data. I don't know, Ryan, when you're doing the presentation about bookings, whether you can show the lists for storing councillor details that we've got in Cloudy Council. That's always quite a nice one. It visualises your data. OneNote is a really good app for storing meeting notes, which, you know, obviously we regularly attend now, and trying to, you know, sort of store them in a central place, digitalise them is so important. Planner and To Do is probably one of the biggest apps we see being used in the local government space. And when we modernise a council, we often see a lot of interest in that to really, you know, manage how they operate their office, the team, and how they run projects. And we're not due to talk about that today, but we have got a previous event we have talked about it. Pardon me. Shifts. It's a fantastic way to manage shifts and rotas, and to for requests, etc. So lightweight, it's all built into 365, integrates into your calendar and stuff, really good. And then finally, Teams Business Voice, which is basically turns Microsoft Teams into a telephone system, and it kind of unifies your comms. You know, where I think we're probably, you know, doing as many video calls as we are audio calls now. You know, it's more engaging, and this just brings it together. You can merge two calls together. We've put quite a few councils on Teams Business Voice now, very popular. We've also migrated SLCC now to these platforms because, yeah, you know, they're obviously trying to be as efficient as possible, and they've worked really well for them as well. So yeah, just a brief slide about each one. We've covered To Do previously, so if you want to go and watch Steve talk about To Do in detail, then please go back and look at one of our recordings. They're available in our Clark's Tech Forum. And To Do is a great app for managing your personal tasks. It's an app that sits on your computer, on your mobile phone, and when a task gets assigned to you in Planner, it will go into your personal To Do, and then you can obviously, you know, tick it off the list or manage your tasks and add more tasks as well. So and what's great with all of the Microsoft suites, it's all integrated. You can access to do from Outlook, you can access to do from Teams. There's so many different ways to find it. It just kind of suits you and falls into how it works for you. So lovely little app. We've got a previous session where Steve talked about that in detail. Planner links to do and is a great way for planning projects. We've got a couple of example planners actually, which we've done in the past around, I don't know, maybe events that you have for the council. A big thing for the council running, Christmas parades or Christmas light switch-ons or scarecrow festivals, all these different things. You can create these planners that you run, and with all the tasks and all the links to all the documents. A bit like a Trello, all these different apps. This is a free one that's included, and we're not covering that today, but equally, once again, we have talked about it previously, and it's available in our Clerks Tech Forum. And Visio is a really good one. It's a way to create org charts and process flows. Some people might have heard of Visio in the past. It's free, it's included in your subscription, and it's got loads of templates you can use just to kind of fast track you to, kind of get into something that's half pretty and useful. And we know, obviously, councils, organizations change. You do need a good org chart to see, who's in charge of what, where the responsibilities lie, etc., etc. So I would really encourage you to have a look at Visio. We've done a session on Visio previously, once again available in the Clerks Tech Forum. And then this month we're going to talk about bookings. So Microsoft Bookings, as its name would suggest, is a way to manage bookings. Now, we have had councils use it for things like farmers markets and booking out stands. It's limited in places where you can't use it for a full-blown whole booking system and taking payments and stuff. You probably do need to buy something specific for that. But this is probably a step down. And certainly, we've seen some clerks come up with some really innovative ideas on how it can be used. I think we had one council use it to manage bookings for inspections at allotments, or for meetings at the cemetery. They use Microsoft Bookings. They have different links for different things. But I don't know, Ryan, do you want to sort of talk through bookings and share your screen, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Yeah, okay. So can everyone see my screen okay? Yeah, perfect. So yeah, as David was saying, bookings at its core is designed as a system so people can book out time with you. So I've started on the booking link that I've created for myself. At CloudyIT, I offer a number of services. So this is the most convenient way for people to book in with me. It shows everybody my full availability depending on what service it is. And it's as simple as they can come along, select which service that they're interested in, and then it will show them my availability, the times, and then they can quickly book in. Once they've booked in, I get a notification to say that somebody's booked in, and it goes into my Outlook calendar. And the end user also gets an email to say that their session is confirmed. There's an ICS file in there, so they can double click on that file and it will enter it into their calendar as well. But equally, we can set up the bookings calendar so that it will send out reminders to people of their appointment that's coming up. It's ever evolving, as with many things Microsoft. So just recently they've added some new features. One of those being the ability to send a text reminder to people as well. So haven't tested that yet, but it looks like it will be really useful. And then you can also ask custom questions as well. So you can put as many questions in there as you need. So for myself as well, sometimes if it's a training course, for example, I'll ask them what the training is specific to, so I can see that in my notes as I prepare for the session. So from there, with a little bit of thinking outside of the box, you can start to use bookings for some other services. So we can see here on our Cloudy Council demo site, we've got a farmers market. We've used it for booking out rooms. My favourite one that I built out for a client was the Christmas fair. Petworth Town Council had their Christmas market, and with that they had their stalls in a number of different locations. So as you saw on my booking link at the top, I had all of the services that I offer that people could select. So in this case, we decided to use those for the different locations. So we set up the different locations, and you can add some information to those appointments as well. So we could indicate how much each pitch would cost in the specific area. It's a little bit out of date now, so the date isn't there, but we can block off dates before and after a specific date, so it only left for one date that people could book in. And the other nice thing with bookings as well is when you set up a booking link, you can, for instance, if it was a group training session that I was doing, I can set up a number of seats. So if I wanted a maximum of 20 people to come along, once those 20 people are booked in, that's it. Nobody else can book that session. So again, when you're using it for something like a Christmas market, you can dictate how many pitches are available. You don't end up with double bookings. I used to help organise a Christmas market for a local garden centre, and once I double booked a pitch, and it was a very awkward situation. So if I'd had something like this, it would have been very useful. But yeah, so we can dictate how many pitches are there. Once that site's booked up, nobody else can book in, and the council in the back end have got a full view of who's booked in and their details. And again, with those custom questions, we could ask for a description of goods. If they accept the T's and C's, which you can put a link to as well. And then, for instance, with this pitch, Cornwall's Meadow, there's the option for them to have electricity at £5 per pitch. So I can put that in as an additional question, and they can just, because I haven't selected today, but they can select yes or no. So I've got a record then of who's having electric and who isn't. So from there, as David said, you can't natively put in a payment wall into bookings. We can set how much a pitch is, we can indicate that, but we can't put a payment wall in. But from here, I will have a record of the pitch they've selected and whether they want electric or not, and then I can send an email and invoice out to the client. There are ways that we've found to put payment walls in a sense. If the council has PayPal, you can set up what's called a paypal.me link. And with that, you can put a / in and the exact amount the person should be paying. So if we didn't have the electricity option, if, for example, we were using it for a Christmas market and it was just in a hall, every single pitch was £50 per pitch, we could, in the confirmation email that goes out, put a link in for your specific PayPal URL with a /50, and when they click on that, it would ask them to pay for £50. So again, with a little bit of thinking outside the box, there are ways we can put things in, but that is where the sort of limitations do start to creep in. As David said, it is an application that's included in your 365 subscription, so we can do a certain amount with it, but it's not going to do everything that a standalone product would do that you're paying a monthly fee for. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers most of the features.
Yeah, brilliant, Ryan. Well, we don't have too long, unfortunately, to go through bookings because we've got a few more things to wrap up, a bit of Q&A at the end as well. But hopefully you could just see it from a sort of end user's perspective. And if anyone ever wants a run through of bookings, Ryan has put his link in the chat. He'll be more than happy to run through it with you in a bit more detail. And we're always really interested to find out how councils use it, because you are the experts in what you do. We provide the technology, and we sometimes sort of say you can do this, and we find they come back a couple of months later and they've got some really good ideas, haven't they, Ryan, about how it could be used. So let me just share my screen again, and then where are we? Here we go. Great. So that was Microsoft Bookings, really useful app there. So we wanted to talk very briefly about a product called Decisions. We run another event monthly called the Decision Hour, and we've seen a lot of interest in this product, and it's going to be a big focus of ours next year. And Decisions, like all the apps we've spoken about earlier, it's a fantastic app that kind of connects to all the other apps within 365. So Teams and OneNote and Planner and Tasks. Decision sits on top of that, and it allows you end to end to basically run your meetings more effectively. And we meet very few clerks and officers who don't have a single problem with how meetings are run. There's always something, maybe a duplication of tasks, some inefficient processes, maybe how councillors access the agenda and how they can store their private notes. It's not perfect. And when we went paperless, which is great, or paper light, I think they call it now, because people still print, which is fine. You can never not truly ever print, I suppose. we stopped printing, and we stopped spending as much time creating these physical agendas. But you didn't really change the process in what happened. You just attach it to an email and hit send. And the experience, I think, at the other end for councillors and people interacting with that agenda isn't the most pleasant experience. And we went paperless and we provided tablets, but actually we didn't fundamentally change the process of running and building meetings, etc. And this is what Decisions does. Steve, we've got 5 minutes. You want to just talk through each one of those 4 stages, and if anyone ever wants to join us for the Decision Hour, we'll put a link in the chat. We've got one next week. We've actually got a couple of clerks talking about their experience of decisions as well. But yeah, go for it, Steve.
Yeah, so agenda creation, council meetings are wonderful. This software fits, it is hand and glove. Our meetings are all very, very structured. And this helps you to maintain that structure, to have templated meetings for not only full council, for committee, working groups, tasks to finish, or internal. I met with a very lovely clerk and her team yesterday, and they're rolling out Decisions early next year, and they're now going to begin using it for their internal meetings as well. So they're a reasonable sized town council, and that they have a management meeting, very similar to what we do at Cloudy once a week. They're going to start using it for that. So from agenda creation, it's extremely simple. Once you've got your fundamental agenda template made, and most of us, our agendas don't change month on month. The beginning and the end tends to be the same. We just put a couple of extra items in the middle. This lends itself really, really well to that. Preparation, then, of course, the agenda pack, the supporting documentation, those reports that councillors all say they've read long before they turn up for the meeting. This allows you to take track of that as well. You can share documents with councillors using SharePoint. Again, as David said, this uses standard Microsoft components to work with. Using SharePoint, of course, you can see that everybody's got the link and that they've all opened and seen it. Running the meeting. Again, during the meeting, you can take minute notes in OneNote or Word. And again, it's quite intuitive. The structure of the meeting is built out by the software. One really, really good example, I was working with a clerk recently who ran a meeting using OneNote to do the minute points. Come the end of the meeting, she just had a quick scan over of those notes. They were all fine. Merged her minutes into the minute document, and it was with the councillors before they'd got home from the meeting. Those draft minutes were available. Absolutely fantastic product to use for that. The speed at which it collates everything from the meeting is quite impressive to see, and we'll show more next week on the Decisions Hour. And tasks and decisions, of course, those actions and resolutions that we make, you can set your actions like we were doing earlier in Planner. And as David and Ryan both mentioned, you can assign action points from the meeting into Planner to either councillors or members of the team, maybe the council secretary, clerk, deputy clerk. They can be tagged in and done. Again, the same with decisions. Those resolutions, they can be tracked using this app, so you can have a list of those. So at the end of the meeting, ready for next month's meeting or next quarter's meeting, you can have your action list, who it's been assigned to, what the progress is. All of that data can be captured and put into the next agenda. It's a really, really good app. And again, if you've got time next week, for those of you that are not already booked up, I would encourage you to book up and join us for the Decisions Hour. David.
Brilliant. Thanks, Steve. And Ron, I don't know if you want to put a link to the Decision Hour in the chat. That'd be really good. Cheers. Great. Thanks, Steve. Let me just stop spotlighting you for a second. There we go. So yeah, that's Decisions. Really love little app. And sort of just as part of what Cloudy does, really, we're here to find great solutions and introduce them to our clerks. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of success with that. So obviously, it's great to have the software, but you need to match the technology or the hardware to that as well. And one of the things we're trying to do is standardize the whole app process around digitalising your council. So we've got a councillor tech pack we've come up with, which has a number of different devices that have a number of different options around security, warranty, damage, accidental damage, and then obviously the software that sits on it, whether it's Decisions, Cloudy's apps, Microsoft's apps. So yeah, we're just trying to make it easier for councils to digitalise and modernise. And one example is tech devices like that. So I thought I'd put that in the slide. So and another thing we operate here at Cloudy is we have a charity called the Cloudy Foundation. And we set the Cloudy Foundation up because we really do love working with young people in technology and offering digital opportunities. And a lot of the people who work at Cloudy have come from apprenticeship schemes and us working in local schools. So we during the first year of lockdown, we tested some ideas of running programs online with youngsters, building apps for councils, and it actually worked better than we expected. It was a great experience for the young person, a great process for the council to connect with the community, and we've actually taken that and really expanded it now. We actually have youngsters working after school twice a week with our engineers on apps for our council clients. We're currently building an app for Haywards Heath Town Council, Steve Trice, if anyone knows him, and he introduced the app to our youngsters early in October, and they've been meeting twice a week. They were introduced to an engineer from Microsoft who talked about his career, as well as people from an apprenticeship provider called QA. So we're really trying to tool these youngsters up. They're aged from 13 to 21. And then next week, they're actually going to be presenting back the app that they've built, which is actually a health and safety app for Haywards Heath. And we're actually working with youngsters from Haywards Heath, which is fantastic. So, you know, if there's councils looking to, you know, work with youngsters in their area, provide digital skills and opportunity, we can actually run these programs. So if there's an app that you don't see, or there's an app that you think you might need for your council, we can run it through one of these programs and involve the youngsters in your community, providing digital skills and opportunity. Ryan, I don't know if you could put a link again to the Cloudy Foundation website, where there's some more information on that as well. A really nice program here at Cloudy. We take on employees from the foundation, and one of the youngsters, Thomas, who builds app closely with Steve, he is actually a youngster from our program who joined us last year. He was from the Buckinghamshire Adult Learning Service. He had some SEN requirements around finding an employer who was sort of sensitive. He's a very digital young lad, but very technical, and he's absolutely flourishing with Cloudy. And we've got lots of other youngsters who we're keen to work with programs like this. So that's a bit about that, really. So we also operate the Tech Forum, where Steve and Ryan are very active in, and we're trying to sort of encourage debate and conversation. So it's not crazy busy all the time, but certainly it's a place where we'll put information in, and if we want to see a poll on what we talk about next, we'll engage with it in there. So do join our text forum. We'd love to see you in there. So we've got any questions and answers. We're going to do this. We've got a prize draw in a second, and we'll do that next. But I don't know if anyone's got any questions. Carl, I see you've got a question there.
Yeah, hi. Just hi David, Steve. In regards to the green space apps, is there any movement on the public being able to have access to the reporting side of that? So whether it's embedded into a website or links embedded onto our website, instead of having the motion of, you know, our information services team having to, you know, take any inquiries from the website and input it themselves, is there a way of the public being able to have the bare basics to that access?
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. There's a couple of ways that our green space app work. It works off what's called a progressive web app. So it's an app that has your council logo on. It will install to a person's mobile phone or tablet. It looks like an app, and when you open it, it uses the GPS and, you know, all the other stuff to take a photo. It knows the address, and then they can, you know, put a description of the problem. If it's something that you're not responsible for, it can signpost you to, you know, to the authority and hit submit. So that will go into the system. People can also use a Microsoft form off your website as well. So, you know, they can, like we talked about forms earlier, Microsoft forms, they can fill out a Microsoft form and it goes into the system where you can manage it. And then in terms of looking at self-service, actually, where people can go and check on the status of a problem they've reported, for a product called Power Pages, it's an additional fee, this feature, but people can log in and actually see the status of a problem they've reported. And it can be managed public facing, so they can sign in with a Google or a Facebook ID or a Hotmail account, and then check the status of what they've actually reported. And this is something we're developing with cemeteries as well, the ability to increase a grant period of time and stuff like that. So yes, Carl, it is possible, and Steve would be happy to talk to you about that and to put an example for you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Julie next, David.
Yes, Julie.
Yeah, hi. For my council, we're really interested in quite a few of your apps, but we haven't taken over the areas. We're a new development. We haven't taken over the areas that we would use allotments app and things like that for. But that's the intention in the future. What we need right now is a finance app. So I'm hoping you're going to say that you've got something in the pipeline, so I can hang on with our Excel spreadsheets until it's ready.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Well, it's an interesting one actually, because we do have a lot of councils ask us about a finance app, and it's something we are looking into as it stands, in fact. So we've got early next year a prototype being put together with a council and an accountancy firm in the sector. I'm not going to say who at this stage, but they're well known. And yeah, we're all coming together to build a modern, Microsoft hosted finance app that will link into our apps, but equally, I kind of think fundamentally embody all the things that we've always believed in terms of easy to use, low cost, and feature rich. So yes, we've got one in the pipeline.
Perfect. Thank you. It's on the agenda for Monday, so I'll get them to hold off now.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, please do get in touch, and we can include you quite early on if that's a thing as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Carl, I see you've got another question there.
I thought there was someone before me. Sorry.
No worries.
Just following up from Julie then with the finance app. So one of the problems for councils moving from one finance system to another finance system is the retention of the the information or the data. So if you develop a suitable finance app, will it be able to migrate data from applications such as Realtas? Because that's one of the hurdles for our council, that we've got a lot of historical information already on there you need to be able to refer to, and there's always that process that if you're retaining financial information for 5 years or 7 years, do we run both apps simultaneously for 7 years until finally everything's all over a one, or will those finance apps be able to have the data migration without it taking months for an officer to do?
Of course, no, good question, Carl. We would definitely build in an import feature. The data is stored in an SQL database, basically, for Realtas or any other app. we might mention Realtas; they are the leaders, clearly. But yeah, we can. All our apps include import tools, don't they, Steve? We can import from CSV, other sources as well. So yeah.
I was going to say, David, even if it's captured for archival purposes, so that you can still reference it, so it doesn't form part of your live your live financials, it's just there as an archive, so that it is accessible for the previous 5 or 7 years. So yes, Carl, we're scoping out now this app. There's a lot to it that's involved, and it's really it's reasonably early days, and we're gathering as much input as we can from people, and working again, as David said, with a couple of people in the sector to ensure that for councils, it is a really, really good fit for them. And as I think it was Julia said, you're not fighting with spreadsheets all the time. You've got something a bit more joined up.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the hour. Really appreciate it. We've now come on to the fun bit, because we've got a couple of prizes to give away here at Cloudy. We've got a Christmas hamper that we'll post off as soon as we find out the results. So we're going to send that. And also we've got a Logitech small video conferencing system. It's worth about £250, but we've got a couple of these kicking about, and we will provide one to a lucky council. So we've got two draws being run. It's a shame because you've got loads of sort of fun music and stuff like that, because I've got my headset on. It doesn't show up, so you're gonna have to just imagine sort of noises going off in the background. So without further ado, let me just put on the screen. So we've basically put everyone's name who are part of this session into this. It's an automatic picker. Sorry, we don't have your details for deputy, but we'll obviously provide you information. We can get it. We've got your email address somewhere as well, so we can drop you an email afterwards. So I think Steve, what should we do a draw for first? You can pick.
The hamper, because it is Christmas. Let's do the hamper. Everybody's wanting a Prosecco hamper. I can see everybody's faces. Hamper.
Absolutely. I actually remember years ago, one of the first councils, one of the larger ones we migrated, we migrated them, and whilst we were migrating them, they all sat there having a Prosecco and pizza during the migration, which I'll never forget. I don't know why it sits in my head, but there we go. So brilliant. Okay, so we're going for the hamper. So good luck, everyone. And I'm going to click the tap here to spin. Here we go. And Simon, congratulations. Excellent. So we'll be whizzing that off. Excellent.
Simon looks happy with that.
Yeah,
well done, Simon.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Okay, brilliant. So there we go. So Ryan will arrange that now, Simon. I don't know if we've got your email details. We'll just confirm your address where you want it sent, and then we'll send that off to you. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got the second one now for the video conferencing system. So I know it's a bit work related, so a bit, but equally, you know, hopefully you'll find a good use for it. So here we go. So good luck, everyone. There we go. So it is, you know, I just pressed the button there. So congratulations, thank you so much, and we hope you find some good use for it. If you want a hand setting it up, Ryan's always available, but it's just kind of plug and play. But you can put it in a small meeting room, and it's got camera, mic, speakers, and it just works really well. So brilliant. Well, there we go. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's our last. Well, we've got one more webinar, haven't we? We've got the decision hour next week, and actually we're doing the same format. We've got some prizes to give away. We've got a few more prizes actually. We've got camera, hamper, and also some discounted deals on decisions as well. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you there. But otherwise, thank you so much. If we don't see you again before Christmas, have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and we look forward to talking to you in 2023. So take care. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.